The universe began not with a bang, but with a question that still has no answer. Here is the question.
Nothing?
Why is there something rather than nothing? For hundreds of years, the best minds could only shrug. Then, in the 1960s, two radio astronomers in New Jersey heard something they could not explain. A persistent hiss, like static, coming from every direction in the sky. They cleaned bird droppings off their antenna. They checked for interference from New York City. The hiss would not go away. They had accidentally discovered the cosmic microwave background radiation, the faint afterglow of the Big Bang itself. That hiss is the oldest sound in the universe, the echo of a moment when all the matter and energy that would ever exist was compressed into a point smaller than a single atom. You are about to hear that story, from the first sliver of a second to the present day, and you will never look at a clear night sky the same way again. Before we can begin, you need a contract. The universe is 13.8 billion years old. This video is roughly 15 minutes long. That means every second you watch represents about 15 million years of cosmic history. The first 7 billion years will vanish in under 30 seconds. The last 200,000 years, the entire span of humanity, will take the final 10 seconds. This compression is not a gimmick. It is the only honest way to feel what the numbers actually mean. When you hear that a star lived for 10 billion years, your brain registers the number but not the way. But when you watch an entire epoch of star formation flash by in a single breath, something shifts. You stop counting and start feeling. That is the goal of this video. Not to teach you facts, but to make you feel the scale of what came before you. Keep that in the front of your mind as we go. You just agreed to a contract that changes how you experience time. If you want to feel every billion years as more than a number, subscribe to this channel and join the journey through deep time. In the comments, tell me one word that describes the feeling of watching an epoch flash by in a breath. I want to see what emerges. Now we arrive at the first moment, the Planck epoch, from time 0 to 10 to the negative 43 seconds after the Big Bang. This is a region of physics we cannot describe. The four fundamental forces of nature, gravity, electromagnetism, the strong nuclear force, and the weak nuclear force, were unified into a single force. The universe was a quantum foam of pure energy, hotter than anything that has existed since. There were no particles, no light, no space as we know it, just a seething, formless potential. Then, in an instant that defies intuition, gravity separated from the other forces. This was the first phase transition, and it triggered the process we call inflation. The universe expanded faster than the speed of light, doubling in size every 10 to the negative 34 seconds. In a period of time so short it has no name, the universe went from smaller than a proton to the size of a grapefruit. That grapefruit would become everything you have ever seen. When inflation ended, the universe was a soup of quarks, gluons, and electrons. This is the quark-gluon plasma, a state of matter so hot and dense that particles could not form stable structures. For the first 10 microseconds, the entire cosmos was a single searing droplet. Then the temperature dropped enough for quarks to bind into protons and neutrons. These are the building blocks of every atom you have ever encountered, including the carbon in your lungs and the oxygen in the air you just breathed. But there is a problem. For every billion particles of matter, there was one particle of antimatter. Matter and antimatter annihilate on contact, releasing pure energy. If they had been perfectly balanced, the universe would have been a featureless bath of radiation, with nothing left to form stars or planets. Something tipped the scales. A process called baryogenesis created a slight excess of matter. One part in a billion survived. Every star, every planet, every person, every living thing you have ever known or loved exists because of that imbalance. You are the leftover. For the first 380,000 years, the universe was an opaque fog. Photons, particles of light, could not travel freely because they kept colliding with free electrons. The universe was like being inside a star, utterly blinding. Then the temperature dropped to about 3,000 Kelvin, cool enough for electrons to combine with protons and form hydrogen atoms. Suddenly, the universe became transparent. The photons that had been trapped for hundreds of thousands of years were finally released. They streamed outward in every direction, and they have been traveling ever since. This is the cosmic microwave background radiation, the same hiss that the radio astronomers heard in New Jersey. When you look at a television screen that is not tuned to a channel, about 1% of the static you see comes from the Big Bang. You have literally been looking at the birth of the universe every time you have seen static, without realizing it. Now the universe was dark. The first stars had not yet formed. This is the cosmic dark ages, a period that lasted about 100 million years. During this time, the universe was filled with neutral hydrogen gas, slowly clumping together under the pull of gravity. The clumps grew larger and denser, forming the first protogalactic clouds. Inside these clouds, pockets of gas became so dense that their cores ignited. The first stars, called population 3 stars, were born. These were monsters. They had no heavy elements, only hydrogen and helium from the Big Bang. Because of this, they could grow to hundreds of times the mass of our sun. They burned at temperatures of tens of millions of degrees, emitting intense ultraviolet radiation. Their lives were short and violent. After only a few million years, they exploded as supernovae, scattering heavy elements like carbon, oxygen, and iron across the young universe. Every atom heavier than helium in your body, every metal in your phone, every ounce of gold in a wedding ring, was forged in the heart of one of these first stars. Those atoms in your body, forged in a supernova 10 billion years ago, are the reason you are here. If you want to keep following the thread from the first stars to the present, subscribe to this channel. And in the comments, name one element that is most meaningful to you. Carbon, oxygen, iron. And tell me why it matters. I want to hear what connects you to that star. The death of the first stars triggered a cascade. Their explosions compressed nearby gas clouds, triggering the formation of new stars. These second-generation stars contain traces of heavy elements, making them smaller and more stable. They lived for billions of years. Among them was a star born 5 billion years ago in a spiral arm of a fairly ordinary galaxy. That star, our sun, formed from a cloud of gas and dust that had been enriched by countless supernovae before it. Around the newborn sun, the remaining material formed a swirling disk. In that disk, dust grains collided and stuck together, growing into pebbles, then boulders, then planetesimals. Over tens of millions of years, these clumps merged into planets. One of them, the third rock from the sun, was just the right distance to keep liquid water on its surface. That planet was Earth. And it was about to become the stage for the strangest experiment in the universe. For the first 500 million years, Earth was hell. The surface was molten, bombarded by asteroids, and covered in a thick atmosphere of carbon dioxide and nitrogen. Then something changed. The bombardment slowed, the crust cooled, oceans formed from water delivered by comets and volcanic outgassing. In these warm, chemically rich oceans, something improbable happened. Simple organic molecules, amino acids, and nucleotides formed spontaneously. Under the right conditions, with lightning and ultraviolet radiation, these molecules linked into chains. The first self-replicating molecules, the ancestors of RNA, emerged. This is the origin of life. We do not know exactly how it happened, but we know it happened fast. The oldest confirmed fossils of microbial life date to 3.5 billion years ago. That is only 500 million years after the planet was habitable. In cosmic terms, life started almost instantly. The question is no longer whether life is rare, but whether it could ever stop. For 2 billion years, life remained single-celled. Photosynthetic bacteria filled the atmosphere with oxygen, a waste product that was toxic to most early life. This was the Great Oxidation Event, and it was the first planetary extinction. Most anaerobic organisms died, but some organisms evolved to use oxygen for energy, a far more efficient process. This paved the way for complex cells with nuclei and organelles. Then, 600 million years ago, something remarkable happened. Multicellular life appeared. The Ediacaran biota, strange soft-bodied organisms, spread across the ocean floors. Then came the Cambrian explosion, a burst of evolutionary innovation that produced most of the major animal groups we see today. In a span of 20 million years, the oceans filled with trilobites, mollusks, and the first chordates. Among them was a small worm-like creature that would eventually produce fish, amphibians, reptiles, mammals, and you. The story of life on Earth is a story of extinction and resilience. There have been 5 major mass extinctions. The worst, the Permian-Triassic extinction, killed 96% of marine species. It was caused by massive volcanic eruptions in Siberia that released enough carbon dioxide to warm the planet by 10 degrees Celsius. The oceans became acidic and anoxic. Life was pushed to the brink, but it recovered. The survivors diversified into new forms. Dinosaurs dominated for 165 million years. Then, 66 million years ago, an asteroid 10 kilometers wide struck what is now the Yucatan Peninsula. The impact released the energy of 1 billion atomic bombs. The sky darkened. The climate collapsed. The dinosaurs, except for the ancestors of birds, were wiped out. This was the 5th extinction, and it cleared the way for mammals. Small, furry, nocturnal creatures that had hidden from the dinosaurs suddenly had room to grow. Within 10 million years, the first primates appeared. 200,000 years ago in Africa, a new species of primate emerged. Homo sapiens. We were not the strongest or the fastest. We had larger brains, but not by much. What made us different was the ability to cooperate in large numbers, to share information across generations, to imagine things that did not exist yet. We developed language, art, and religion. We spread across the globe, crossing land bridges and ocean currents. We invented agriculture 10,000 years ago, which allowed us to build cities and civilizations. In the last 5,000 years, we invented writing, mathematics, and science. In the last 500 years, we discovered that the Earth orbits the Sun, that the universe is expanding, and that all of this, every star, every galaxy, every living thing, emerged from a single point. This is not just a story. It is the only story that is true. But here is the twist. The universe is still expanding, and it is accelerating. In the late 1990s, 2 teams of astronomers discovered that distant supernovae were dimmer than expected. The expansion of the universe was not slowing down, as gravity would predict. It was speeding up. Something, which we call dark energy, is pushing the universe apart. We do not know what it is. It makes up about 68% of the total energy of the cosmos. It is the most dominant force in the universe, and we cannot see it, touch it, or detect it directly. The only evidence is the motion of galaxies. Every second, the universe becomes a little emptier. Galaxies that are not gravitationally bound to us will eventually disappear beyond the cosmic horizon. In 100 billion years, every other galaxy will be invisible to future astronomers. They will look up at a black, empty sky and conclude that their galaxy is the entire universe. They will never know about the Big Bang. Our generation is the last that will ever have access to the full cosmic archive. We are the last generation that will see the full cosmic archive. That knowledge is a responsibility, not a privilege. If you want to carry it with others who understand its weight, subscribe before the universe pulls the galaxies beyond reach. And in the comments, tell me what you will do differently now that you know you are made of stardust and time. I want to hear how this story changes your day. And now we arrive at the last seconds. You just watched 13.8 billion years in a few minutes. How long did it feel? The number that matters is not the age of the universe. It is the ratio. The entire history of everything compressed into the space between two commercial breaks. You are the first generation to have the sensory experience of deep time. You felt the birth of stars and the death of worlds in a single sitting. That changes something. When you step outside tonight, look at the stars. Remember that the light from some of them traveled for millions of years to reach your eye. Remember that you're made of the ashes of stars that died before the Earth existed. Remember that the universe is still expanding, still cooling, still filling with darkness. And in the middle of all that emptiness, there is a tiny blue planet where life happened. Where you happened. That is not random. That is the single most improbable chain of events in the history of existence. So what do you do with this knowledge? Most people will brush it off and go back to scrolling. They will not sit with the weight of it. But you are still here. That means something. You have already done something rare. You have let the scale of existence wash over you without flinching. That is the behavioral contract of this whole experience. It is not about memorizing the sequence of epochs or the precise time of the recombination surface. It is about allowing yourself to be small and discovering that smallness is not a weakness. It is the only honest position from which to see clearly. The atoms in your left hand were once part of a star that exploded 5 billion years before the Earth formed. The carbon in your right hand was forged in a different star, one that died in a different part of the galaxy. Every breath you take contains argon atoms that have been cycling through the atmosphere for 4 billion years, unchanged. You are not just connected to the universe, you are the universe, temporarily arranged into a shape that can look back at itself and wonder. That is the real miracle. Not that we exist, but that we can know that we exist, and that we can tell the story. So when you walk away from this video, carry one specific image with you. A single photon, born in the core of a population 3 star 10 billion years ago, has been traveling through empty space ever since. It passed through galaxies and nebulas. It crossed voids so vast that light took millions of years to cross them. And 10 minutes ago, it entered your atmosphere, passed through your cornea, and landed on your retina. That photon, older than the Earth itself, just completed its journey inside your eye. You saw the past. You always have been. Now you know it. This is the universe. This is your home. And you are the first part of it that has ever told its own story. Do not waste that. There is a quiet responsibility in being the first to know. Every human before you lived and died without ever seeing the cosmic microwave background, without knowing that the universe began in a single point, without understanding that the stars are factories of matter. You have that knowledge. You cannot unlearn it, and that means you have a choice. To carry it like a burden, or to carry it like a gift. The physicist Carl Sagan once said that we are a way for the cosmos to know itself. It was not poetry, it was biology. Your neurons are made of atoms that were once scattered across the galaxy by supernovae. When you think, when you wonder, when you feel awe, you are the universe rearranging itself into a pattern that can reflect on its own existence. The same forces that shaped galaxies shape the folds of your brain. The same gravity that holds the Andromeda Galaxy together keeps you tethered to this planet. You are not separate from the cosmos. You are a local event, a brief, conscious, irreproducible event. So here is the final number. The universe has existed for 13.8 billion years. The Earth has existed for 4.5 billion years. Life has existed for 3.5 billion years. And you, this specific collection of atoms, this particular arrangement, will exist for maybe 80 years. That is not a tragedy. That is the point. The rarity of your existence is what gives it meaning. If you were eternal, you would never need to choose. Because you are finite, every moment matters. And now you have seen the entire story. From the quantum foam to the first stars, from the formation of the Earth to the rise of humanity, from the first photon to the one that just landed in your eye. It is the same story, told at different scales. The same laws of physics apply everywhere. The same elements make up everything. The same arc of creation and destruction plays out in every galaxy, every star, every living cell. The only difference is that here, on this one pale blue dot, the universe woke up. It looked around and it started to ask questions. You are that awakening. You are the universe asking itself why it exists. And you already know the answer. It exists so that something could witness it and care and tell the story. That story ends here, with you. Carry it well.